What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all feel? What's good? I mean, everything. I want to hear about everything. I want to hear about everybody's day all at once in the
He
chat.
he lying. We gonna get straight to the draft.
No?
He telling y'all lies. We don't care about nothing y'all doing, but we gonna talk about this here NBA draft and what it means to everybody involved.
I was just trying to help. I was just trying to help. I was just trying to help.
I appreciate that you in such good spirits because I'm actually kind of annoyed after last night, but not for the reasons people might think. Um, But since the Knicks are the quote unquote big story, and I think one of the really messed up parts of the coverage and reaction to this draft is there's a lot of teams that were really disappointed by LA and the New Orleans jump to the
Hmm.
top. A lot of teams that really, really needed a top three or in some cases top five pick to have a good offseason and have a good look going forward. And they did not get those things. And one of those teams is the Chicago Bulls.
I don't even like the way you said that. You
I'm
said
I'm
you
just
said
I'm just
you know how
reporting.
you sounded when you said that. You sounded like one of them dudes like at the liquor store who is done with the Bulls. And somebody asked him, he talking about, I don't want to watch no Chicago Bulls. That's exactly what that's at. It was it was terrible, man. It was really terrible. Like me and
Like,
Junior were sitting up there watching it, right? And
yeah.
we was all geeked up. Junior was in there for a second. I said, okay, Junior, it's time. Let's go. Let's watch it. He come in, he sit down. My wife sitting there watching it. She looking. And so Junior was nervous at number 14. I was like, nah, the Bulls was too bad to slip to 14. That's not going to happen. Don't worry about that. I said, start getting nervous around 8 because that's about like the worst that could happen is that
Yeah.
we get like 8. And here come that 7.
Mm.
I said, are you kidding, Brian, in here? Is that what just happened? Man, I'm telling you, if you're a Bulls fan and you want to be depressed, look at the mocks for what
Yeah.
might be there at 7. Like, I know some people are saying, 1989 was saying that the Bulls may still have a chance at Darius Garland. I have a feeling that Darius Garland is going to be one of those kids who comes in for personal workouts and then jumps all the way up to the top 4, 5.
That's a great point. And that goes into my other thing. But I just want to let everybody know, we troll a lot on the show. We joke around. We have fun with our discussion. And as a lifelong Knicks fan, I like seeing the Bulls suffer a little bit. They're not like my least favorite team or nothing, but it's kind of fun sometimes. This was such a bad draft for you guys. I don't even want to give you a hard time for it. This
It,
is more of a I've been there. I understand what you're feeling right now, and I'm sorry. Like,
this was like, dude. Now I've seen the kid play, and I know that the kid is not like absolute trash. I know that. Thank you. I know that the kid is not absolute trash. I do know that. But I have never seen a human being in the world that looked like Cody White who was actually really good.
oh, go.
I haven't seen it, man. It, I, he
Now here, so okay, so here's
come
the thing.
on, man.
Here's
Is that
here's
what
the
it
thing.
is now?
I think the thing for me, why I was really okay. So first of all, let me just get it out there. I'm not upset with getting the top three pick. We came out the luckiest out of all of the quote unquote tanking teams, right? So
Mhm.
unless you count Memphis as a tanking team, I don't think they were a tanking team. I think they're just a losing team, struggling with the Mark Gasol exit, and quite frankly, we got their coach, and I didn't think Fizdale should have ever left. So they've been
Never,
right.
never
They've been
should have been.
screwing up for a little while, and they're trying to recover from it. They needed this. They still ain't going nowhere in the Western Conference because Jesus ain't in the draft. So.
No,
So they're gonna still be the Memphis
not
Grizzlies.
directly.
They're gonna be the Memphis Grizzlies after this, no matter what. So it's like it's a good pick for them. We'll see what they do with it. It's interesting because Ja Morant plays the same position as the guy who's probably still their best player. I would say
Yeah,
inarguably still
he's
their
gonna
best
get
player
hurt.
if they're healthy, if he's healthy.
Mhm.
So Ja Morant is going to be playing backup quarterback or they have to find a way to get rid of that. So I felt like top 3 was a win for any of the quote unquote tanking teams, and we got top 3. I'm totally fine with that. People are acting like, and let's just get this out of the way. Zion Williamson is not LeBron James coming out of high school.
No.
LeBron James coming out of high school was the surest bet I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen some sure bets. Derrick Rose was a sure bet. Allen Iverson was a sure bet. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Can you say that one more time?
Derrick Rose was a sure bet.
Oh my God. I just felt like somebody hugged me.
Well, it wasn't
That's
me.
what that
that's in your head. But no, Anthony Davis was a sure bet. Allen Iverson was a sure bet. And let me call out the Allen Iverson thing real quick, because as much as AI was a sure bet, if you were watching, like I was talking to Brian the other day, that was the first draft that I ever watched seriously, right? I was in, I think, high school at the time. Yeah, I was in high school because I'm the same age as Kobe. I'm a few months younger than him. And I was watching.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, I know. Greatness. Explains greatness. But I'm watching that draft, and this is not hindsight is 2020. I was watching that draft, and I thought Kobe Bryant was going to be the best player in that draft. And I'm a huge Allen Iverson fan. I was a huge Allen Iverson fan at the time. All I wanted to do was be 6 feet tall so I could play like Allen Iverson. And I got that, right? Like, he was the guy I was looking at, but I thought Kobe would be the best player in the draft. And Jerry West, in hindsight, said the same thing. He said, that's why we drafted. He said, we got the best player in the draft. I'm telling y'all right now. And this is what I'm saying, why I'm not upset with the Knicks thing. Because even though Zion Williamson, I think he's a sure thing in terms of being a quality NBA player, I don't think he's a sure thing in terms of being the best or one of the best NBA players. I think he could, like Blake Griffin, was never really one of the best NBA players. He's a very good NBA player. He's as a second or third guy on your team, sure. Was he like number 1 draft pick? He's going to change our franchise? No. Chris Paul changed that franchise. Chris Paul and Doc Rivers. Blake Griffin was there, and now he's there in Detroit. And Zion Williamson is almost exactly that. He plays defense, but he's shorter and shoots way, way, way worse than Blake Griffin, especially now. Blake Griffin got a much better jumper now, and also had a more developed post game and was a better rebounder. So, like, these things all matter. You know what I mean? So Zion, while he's a sure bet in terms of the box office draw, which the Knicks and Bulls don't need, by the way, because they sell out putting Frank Ntilikina and Dunn on the floor. So
that's part of the problem.
Right. Our boneheaded fan bases let our owners get away with murder. So they murder. Every season somebody dies, right? So so the thing about Zion, I am not certain by any stretch of the imagination that Zion's the best player in this draft. I don't think anybody else is certain either. So I think from 2 on down, you actually have the opportunity to get the best player. If you were drafting number 1, we both talked about this all year. You have to draft Zion. And you are, in a certain sense, forced to not have the option of drafting who you genuinely think is the best player. And I'm glad not to be in that position.
I 100% agree. And I said the same thing. I said the same thing to friends and other people that I talked to outside of the show, that I wanted the second pick. That's legit what I wanted.
We were both rooting for that.
Because I felt like it would take that onus, like you were just saying, off of drafting Zion. Because like we talked about before, who wants to be the team that passed on Zion?
You can't
just in case he becomes this, a healthy version of this mixture between Larry Johnson and Blake Griffin. And he becomes, that's what he becomes.
With more defense.
And he becomes an actual viable 6'6" rim protector. Nobody wants to be the person or the team that passed on that. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a human being. So, and I love basketball and I love entertainment. So a part of me was kind of watching yesterday going, wow, what if they did get him? You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude, the dude that everybody in the world is going to be talking about, is going to be playing for my team. That's the way I've started thinking about it, but absolutely would have been fine. To be honest, if the Bulls had got the 3rd pick overall, I would have been like, I would have found a silver lining to this whole thing.
I think the third pick, I mean, it's the second best you could have done in this draft, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because I don't, and all year we've been consistent with this. This isn't the Knicks didn't get number one, so I'm mad. No, I've been consistent on this show and other shows. I am in no way convinced that Zion Williamson is the best basketball player in this draft. I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying it's a question mark. And you know, if you a Bulls fan, you a Knicks fan, your team hasn't been great with rolling the dice lately. And the thing is, every single player, every single one that Zion has been compared to has been a player that has gotten injured into their late 20s and didn't have a long prime. Like literally 100% of them. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he's shorter than all of them except Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Which means he's going to be jumping all the time, which means he's going to be landing all the time.
That's my point. That's been my point this whole time.
Right. And with a 2-year development, you know, window before he becomes whatever he's going to be, it's just, you know, not a roll of the dice I wanted. So I felt like the best case scenario was pick number 2. Second base scenario is pick number 3. After that, it becomes about luck. And this is why I go back to my Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant thing. Because Kobe Bryant's a better player than Allen Iverson. We can all agree with that, right?
Yeah.
AI is great. Kobe's better.
Okay.
So you didn't.
20-second timeout.
Sure.
I just said something good about Kobe. Okay, let's go.
You still on your stuff?
I just wanted them to know. I wanted them to know.
I thought you were in mourning. I'm trying to be respectful.
I wanted them to know. I just wanted to know that
you came in. We both came in wearing all black today.
That it just happened. I just said something good about Kobe. There it is.
History. Something obvious, but sure.
Hey, you got to start somewhere. The first step in overcoming your problem is admitting that you have one.
So here's the thing. I don't necessarily want the Knicks to pick Ja Morant if he's available or RJ Barrett if he's available. I want the Knicks to have the flexibility and intelligence to do their due diligence and pick the best player available. And that's at worst supposed to be the third most talented player in the draft, which means that player is going to be equal or better than the top 3 players that are there. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's a good position to be in, an excellent position to be in. And even more so, I think that now people think the Lakers have a better draft, a better trade package for Anthony Davis. I think the Knicks trade package is far superior because I take Mitchell Robinson over any 2 young players on the Lakers put together.
I'm going to tell you something. I wouldn't trade Mitchell Robinson for Anthony Davis.
I'm with you. No exaggeration. Like,
I mean, and okay, is Anthony Davis a better player than Mitchell Robinson right now? 100%.
Yes. He 100%. Also costs like $200 million more than.
And Mitchell Robinson hasn't gotten hurt yet.
Correct. And the thing about Mitchell Robinson is if you really pay attention, like with the pieces that they're supposed to be getting, right? And we all have heard like serious pieces of news, like not just hearsay, that the Kevin Durant thing is real.
Yeah.
Like it's almost to the point where if you don't think it's real, you're crazy. Having a 7-foot tall, better version of Clint Capella is so extremely useful that I'm not going gaga over Anthony Davis when he's doing so many of those things the same and doesn't have a specific skill that makes us a champion. It doesn't mean obviously Anthony Davis is a better player than Mitchell Robinson, but this is all about fit. And part of that fit is also salary. So money that doesn't go to Anthony Davis goes somewhere else. But that having been said, I ain't mad if we wind up with Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant. As a Knicks fan, I'm like, I'm willing to see how this shakes out.
You know what? But think about this. We always talk about length and defensive versatility, right?
Yeah.
The Knicks could easily put a team on the floor at one time that is RJ Barrett, Kevin Knox, Kevin Durant, Mitchell Robinson, and
give me Alonzo Trier and Drew Holiday.
Alonzo Trier. I'm talking about and I'm talking about from a standpoint of length,
Yeah.
athleticism, and defensive versatility. The level of the amount of length and the ability to switch on pick and rolls, the ability to rim protect with that team, and we haven't even talked about signing a second max free agent.
Mm-hmm.
What the situation that the Knicks are in right now is insane.
Well, see, because here's the thing for me, and I'm not saying this is my ultimate dream scenario, but this is something that is well possible for the Knicks, according to everything, right? Because the word is that Kevin Durant is actually recruiting other people,
He's gone. He's
which means
gone.
it's not just him and Kyrie, right?
He
So
is
if the Knicks
gone.
wound up with Drew Holiday, Alonzo Trier, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, and Mitchell Robinson as their starting five, I'm looking at the rest of the Eastern Conference and saying, bring it. I have absolute faith in that lineup.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Well, I
saying?
mean, look at it. The only thing they have to do is develop young players that come off the bench and sign 2 to 3 ring chasers for depth and stability
Yeah.
and roll the ball out there and let's go. That's all. That's really all they have to do at
Yeah.
that
So
point.
so it bugs me that so many people are like, I think the people are so eager to make fun of Knicks fans that they're looking for the misery. And this whole Zion or bust thing is, I just don't get. I don't get it, because even while Zion, like before Zion busted his sneaker, the word was still, we don't know if he's actually going to be a better NBA player than RJ Barrett. Like deep into his college career, this is what people were saying. And then and the thing is, RJ Barrett carrying that sorry Duke team without Zion. Like, I mean, just can't shoot their way out of a paper bag, you know.
Hmm.
And he carried them to a lot of like tough victories with Zion hurt, and then they come back. Now, I don't love the free throw shooting from RJ Barrett, if that's the thing, but to throw this 18-year-old kid under the bus like he's just a bum because y'all infatuated with Zion, that's
Hmm.
ridiculous. Like, I think it's insanely disrespectful of the college career and talent that RJ Barrett, and class and intelligence that RJ Barrett has shown up until now. Like, the idea that as a Knicks fan, I would be crying in my beer over getting the third, over the highest pick we've had in my lifetime of watching basketball since Patrick Ewing, that's
Hmm.
insane to me. Like, just flat out insanity.
I don't. I think the disrespect that RJ Barrett has gotten is actually the best thing that could ever have happened to him, because RJ Barrett was the number one high school player in the nation,
Yes.
right? And then suddenly he was not. He was not the number one prospect, because coming into school, most people would have thought that he would be number one, Zion would be maybe number two. But then Zion, just his star just continued to grow and grow and grow and grow. And then it became something completely different.
Yeah.
And RJ's looking at this, and that's his boy. So I don't think there's necessarily animosity there, but he's a baller. You know what I mean? And he's like, wait a minute. Y'all wait until I get an opportunity. So that's why I said, if the Bulls had gotten the number 3 pick, even though I still think that RJ Barrett is really Tyreek Evanish, that's kind of who I see him as. Even though I think that, I still wouldn't have been totally upset with that, because I do believe he can play the point guard or the shooting guard. I think he's better at the two. He definitely has to get more efficient as a scorer. But what I like about him is that he is a baller,
Yeah.
and he's a dog. You can't teach him that. He already has that. Getting more efficient and playing smarter and becoming a better shooter. All of that stuff is attainable things that he doesn't necessarily have yet, but it's attainable.
And the key
So
word there is attainable. I
yeah.
want to focus on that word for a second.
Hmm.
Because with Zion, people say if he gets a jump shot. Well, right now, his jumper, while it's not a Ben Simmons situation, it
Hmm.
don't look like a professional basketball player shooting a jump shot.
Hmm.
Right. So he's gonna have to work that out. And it's far from being able to pull up in the lane.
Hmm.
Right. So
Right.
he's go to the basket or pass the ball is what he's
Mhm.
doing right now.
Right.
So is that attainable? Maybe, but that's a big maybe. Ja Morant, and we all know I love Ja Morant. Knicks still might get Ja Morant. We don't know what the Grizzlies are going to do for sure. RJ Barrett can blow their minds away in the workout, and then we wind up getting Ja Morant. So I'm not just here talking about Ja Morant like he's a foregone conclusion. I think that's
Hmm.
a mistake with players this young. Two things about Ja Morant. One, he's a couple years older than both of these guys. So
Mhm.
he's more developed. Let's not act like they're all 18 years old. We're judging RJ Barrett minus 2 years of experience against Ja Morant. And then on top of that, Ja Morant is by a mile, a million miles, the worst defensive player out of those three.
You said Ja is?
Ja, the worst defensive player out of those three. Ja is,
You think he's significantly worse than RJ Barrett?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Yes, I absolutely do. If you look at the scouting report on him defensively, he just doesn't do anything. It's like
He
it can be
plays
hard and bad.
he plays passing lanes is all he does now. That's all he does. He
But
doesn't.
sometimes, but it's an effort thing too. Sometimes he just walks up the court and doesn't do anything and waits for the ball. Um, so now, do I think that's who he's going to be? He was carrying an insanely large workload. I mean,
Mhm.
again, there's one guy on Murray State that looked like CC Sabathia. So no disrespect to that kid.
Oh no disrespect to CC
No,
Sabathia.
but that kid wasn't built like Zion. You know what I'm saying? So
Boy, you in
he
here looking like CC Sabathia. And what do you think you ought to do about that?
do a crunch.
What do you think you should do to fix that, sir? You look like CC Sabathia.
So so the thing is, so he had an insane workload. So maybe he gets with an NBA coach and he learns defense. But that's a big if when you look at a guy who doesn't have a defensive motor. Will he get one? The thing about RJ Barrett is he is a skill-based player. So will an 18-year-old acquire more skills? The answer is usually yes at that level. So can he acquire a right hand? I think that's a high possibility. It's not like a Julius Randle situation where Julius Randle is just like a bull, so he's gonna overpower you. RJ Barrett's a guy who has a lot of skills. So the ability for him, the suspension of disbelief, will he acquire more skills? I think is totally there. And again, even down through the draft, the rest of these guys, everybody isn't in their final form at 18, 19, 20 years old. It's happened over and over and over in the draft that until you get these guys in the draft workout, you don't really know who's like that good. Carl Anthony Towns' scouting report was literally upside down, right?
Yeah.
He was considered a defensive inside player.
He's su- he really surprised me. He really did.
He surprised everybody.
I knew he would be good, but I did not think he would be as good as he turned out to be. Because I really didn't know the skill level was as high as it
Yeah.
is. Now defensively, that we know is there some issues, but
Yeah, but
yeah.
that's the thing. He was slated as a guy who was supposed to be more of an inside guy, more of a defender, and he turned out to be the opposite player because of what he did in high school. And that's what
Right.
happens with young guys when they get outside of their college system. So my thing with the Knicks is I want them to do the work. All this going off of these big names coming out of college, the names and lights, the celebrity factor, that talk is so ignorant to me.
Mhm.
The third pick is an opportunity to look at everybody from who's not named Zion Williamson, literally everybody not named Zion, and pick either the best or second best player out of that group. And I'm excited about that. And I actually feel really bad for the fan bases of the Suns who needed this, the Bulls who needed this, the Hawks who they have a couple of good young players, but the difference between the Hawks getting Zion to run with Collins and Trae Young and now having to find something is huge.
Yeah, I don't feel that bad for the Hawks. I feel like obviously, yes, Zion would have been great for them, 100%. But I feel like,
Or RJ Barrett. He'd have been huge for them. They don't have it. They don't have
yeah,
RJ Barrett.
you
He
know
go there
what?
and learn from Vince Carter.
I feel like I don't know whether or not RJ Barrett and Trae Young is the best match, but maybe it is exactly the perfect match because you take the ball out of Trae's hands a
Yep.
little bit and you take some of the pressure off him, then thus decreasing his turnovers and making him more efficient. And you give him some spot up opportunities as opposed to everything having to come off the dribble, which is the way it is for him now. But I still feel like they're in a good place, right? Okay, now I've cried a lot about the Bulls, right? But I don't think we're in a horrible position either. I do still think that I still believe in I'm still intrigued by what can happen with a full season of continued development of Wendell Carter Jr., Laurie Markin, and Zach LaVine, with them now seemingly buying into Jim Boylan, right? So I'm intrigued to see what that looks like. Still need a point guard, 100%. I am not sure that Kobe White is the guy. I know he has good size. He's physically strong. Um, I'm still not convinced.
See,
I'm
here's
yeah.
why I'm sad for your Bulls.
Mhm.
Because Ja Morant fit with the Bulls
Yes.
better than almost any other team. Like in terms
Mhm.
of changing the dynamic, because all of your guys are young. That's a situation where 2 years from now, the Bulls could be in a second seed situation if everybody pops properly.
Yes.
Like y'all don't even have to acquire nobody. You could
Mhm.
just literally Ja improves, Zach improves, Laurie improves, Wendell improves,
And
and
Otto
y'all
stays
look
the same.
exact and Otto Porter, and y'all are just a really, really good team. And now if you guys are lucky, you can, Kobe pops and he's better than people think he is or something like that. But I don't know. I don't know. With
Yeah.
Ja, I feel like I know. And Ja's biggest shortcoming, the defense, I'm not worried about that on the Bulls because of what he does for everybody else. Memphis, I mean, if Memphis picks him up, it's Mike Conley. Like I just don't know.
He's
Even New
gonna
York, to be honest with you.
he's going to if he was playing for the Bulls, he would defend.
Yeah.
He would defend. Because the culture that Boylan is pushing into people, there Zach started to defend better.
Hmm.
And if Zach starts to defend, then there must be something in the water. Because at first he definitely wasn't doing that. I don't know. Then, I do see like Andrew's in the chat, he's talking about Alonzo potentially getting traded to the Bulls. I've seen the rumor out there. It depends. It depends on what all the Bulls would have to put it like this. Would I give up the number 7 pick, and would I swap picks with the Lakers? Well, not how many? The Lakers only have the 1 pick, right? They don't have how many
Yeah,
picks is
I
the
don't know
Lakers?
if they have somebody
Do they
later. I
have a
don't think
later
so.
pick? I
I
thought
don't
they
think
might have had
so.
a later pick
They
too.
might.
If they had
I
a
mean,
later,
maybe much later.
yeah, much later, right? So I'm not sure if they have a later pick or not, because it's actually what I'm saying is actually thinking is actually contingent upon that. I'll if I'm not totally against Lonzo coming to Chicago. I'm not. It doesn't look like they have a later pick. Wait, yes, they do. They should have the. No, this just probably isn't updated. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have a later pick. So if you can get Lonzo to Chicago without giving up major pieces, right? Without giving up major pieces, I'm not against that, because I know that he'll defend. I know that he is a pass first point guard who can help to make the Bulls' offensive possessions more efficient. Because one of the things that bothered me about the Bulls last year was that Laurie seemed a little lost once
Hmm.
Zach started to get it going. Laurie had a problem finding his place in the offense. And Laurie does not have that dog in him where he just goes and gets it. I'm worried about the fact that it doesn't appear that he takes advantage of size mismatches. Smaller, stronger people seem to bully and push him out off of space, and he settles for jump shots when he doesn't have to. So I'm worried if he's going to get out of that, if that's a maturity thing or whatever. But I think a player like Lonzo helps to get the ball to people where they're supposed to have it. And
Well, I
that
don't
could
I
be a
don't think
plus.
Lonzo's going anywhere because I think the whole reason the Lakers want Jason Kidd is to be the Lonzo whisperer. I think they're going to double down on him because right now, if you look at Lonzo's potential versus his current value, he has
Mhm,
no value in the league right now. His father's a hassle. He's had health problems, and he still has the free throw issue.
mhm,
And so, if I'm the Lakers, I'm like, let me invest more. Let me not make the same mistake I made with D'Angelo Russell and send him to another team and possibly in for very little, and then have him pop. Let me double down on what we know he could do. I think the potential of Lonzo is still there, but I do think he's at a very low value point. In fact, I think all of the Lakers players are at a low value point. And I think the idea that they have a better trade package for Davis than the Knicks or the Boston Celtics, even though the Celtics got bad luck in the draft, is ridiculous because Brandon Ingram has the blood clots issue. Kyle Kuzma's just a tall guy who can shoot. And Lonzo Ball has had health issues and can't hit free throws and isn't aggressive enough.
And his
And
dad's LeVar.
you have the LeVar Ball problem. So out of all of the Lakers players, I see Lonzo staying there the most because I do think that Lonzo, LeBron, and Jason Kidd has the potential to fix the Lonzo Ball situation. And I don't think any other team is looking at Lonzo Ball with and giving up value to undertake that same task.
Yeah, that's why I said it would depend on what had to go back, right? If I'm moving Chris Dunn for Lonzo, I do that in a minute. I do that in a heartbeat because I already think that Chris Dunn may be a better overall player than Lonzo, but I think Lonzo fits better with what the Bulls have because there's oftentimes Chris Dunn's taking the ball out of Zach LaVine's hands and Lauri Markkanen's hands, and then Chris Dunn has proven to have a hard time staying healthy as well. So that's another issue. And Chris Dunn is his basketball IQ is not where you want it to be for a point guard who you projected to be an elite level point guard. As good as his on-ball defense is, his excessive spamming of the square button is an issue, which is why he tends to stay in foul trouble in certain situations. So I don't know. I'm not totally against it, but like you said, I wouldn't want to give up value for it. But so Mike Smith was in the chat and he was talking about could the Bulls get Patrick Beverley? I don't want Patrick Beverley anywhere near the Bulls, and it's not because I have anything against Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley's a heck of a player. He's a hard-nosed guy who's great on any team, except for a team like the Bulls. The Bulls are not close enough to winning to get a guy like Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley is the guy who you get to help add toughness to your team when you're close to winning a championship.
Yeah, like the 76ers could use Patrick Beverley, something
They
like
could use
that.
Patrick Beverley.
Yeah,
Yes.
not a
The
fledgling team.
Lakers could use Patrick Beverley.
Yeah, absolutely. The
You know,
Lakers could definitely. I mean, they have Rondo, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly, because it's very similar. Honestly, it's very similar. Rondo's a better passer, but
Much better. Yeah.
It's
And
very
Beverly's a better defender at this point in his career.
at this point in his career for sure.
Rondo's a better shooter than he's been given credit for.
He is.
He's
He is.
vastly improved that.
I would say, all things considered, if you were to weigh, past, present, where they are right now, I'd say they're probably even as shooters now. You know what I mean? Because before, people would have been like, "Oh no, Patrick Beverley's a better shooter than Rondo," but Rondo has been a better shooter than he'd been earlier in his career for at least like the last 3 or 4 years now. So you kind of know that this isn't just a fad. He actually did improve as a shooter, but we just got so used to saying he was a bad shooter.
Absolutely.
That he has improved. So I don't know, man. It's once I get over the fact that okay, they didn't get Ja, they didn't get Zion, they didn't get RJ, and you step back and look at the Bulls situation, it's not the worst in the world. They still have a talented young core, which, if for no other reason or for no other benefit, they still have trade assets if they need to get something done. Because I've said this over and over again as a hardcore Bulls fan and Bulls fan for over 35 years. The Bulls traditionally have never gotten good from free agent acquisitions. It just has never happened. Every time we've ever been good, it's been because of the draft and a trade. That's it. If you just look over the history, Mike was drafted. Scottie Pippen was a draft day trade. Horace was drafted. Dennis Rodman was traded. The best free agent acquisition probably in Bulls history. And Bulls fans are going to probably turn their nose up when I say this. But if you think about it, it's true. The best free agent acquisition we've ever had in team history is Carlos Boozer. He is. I mean, you talk about spending big for a guy and then turning around and seeing the team immediately get better. Not obviously not solely because of him or what have you, but who else was? What other free agent have the Bulls ever had that was more impacting? So that's a sad fact, though. It is, and It just is. It's
So to put something to rest real quick, Anthony Davis is definitely 100% still asking for a trade. Um, I don't think Zion Williamson has any chance of being better than Julius Randle was this year, next year. Like he's not going to have a better rookie year than Julius Randle had last year.
Mhm.
And in that sense, Anthony Davis is already turning down playing with Zion Williamson by leaving Julius Randle. He ain't want no part of Julius Randle while he's putting up 30 and 10. He ain't going to want no part of Zion Williamson when he's putting up, 18 and 6.
Mhm.
So do you feel bad for Zion at all in
I do.
terms of yeah, like this is like the crappiest situation he could have gotten next
Well,
to going to the Grizzlies.
you know,
Like
you know why I felt bad for him. I don't feel okay. It's kind of a multi-layered thing, right? Initially, yesterday, I felt bad for him because I didn't feel like David Griffin handled the 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 public appearance situation quite right. Right now, I understand the whole thing as a GM, a person in the front office. You don't want to show your hand about what it is that you're going to do and blah 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 blah. I understand that. So, but when he was asked about when I say Zion, you say what? He says, I say we got a lot of work to do. That was that was dismissive and borderline insulting because you got set up in a way that you needed to say something positive about the kid, right? So it's for me, I would have said, well, it's still a lot of time left before now in the draft, but there is no question at all. I mean, hey, I don't have to sell you on how great of a player and athlete Zion Williamson is. Just look at it. Any team, including us, would be lucky if we were able to bring him into our franchise. We're
but does that
absolutely
ultimately does that matter though? Like what's the outcome of that? Okay, he didn't have a great
because
response.
the thing of it is, to me, you don't want to start off a relationship with a player in a way that feels a little because you don't know how long how he's going to take that, how long he's going to hold it, right? Because say for instance he gets there, right, and blows up. He becomes this guy around year three, when it comes a time where he can almost start to break loose. Obviously, he still be on his rookie deal, and there'll be the restricted situation and all of that. But around the time when it gets where he can wiggle away, the first impression I still think is important, and that to me wasn't a strong first impression with the player. I think that they could something could have happened that we know nothing about, right? That could have happened, and then somebody from the Pelicans organization could have called him an hour later and said, "Hey, man, just want to let you know you're our guy. We didn't want to talk about that on television or
Yeah,
live,
they're
but
not.
you."
I mean, that's they're not supposed to. Because
That,
here's the thing: if I'm the Pelicans, right?
hmm
Like if I'm the Pelicans and I'm trying to make the best basketball decision,
hmm
I don't automatically pick Zion Williamson.
No, I get it.
That's ridiculous. Like
I
so,
get it.
and it would be. Here's the thing: it would be disrespectful of every other player at the top of that draft to
hmm
give any favoritism towards Zion. So I'm not mad. And the other thing is, quite frankly, after Anthony Davis,
hmm
it's like Zion is looking at future him,
hmm
right? If and that's if he's as good as Anthony Davis, which is so extremely unlikely that it's almost disrespectful of Anthony Davis to say. If Zion Williamson is as good as Anthony Davis, that would be crazy.
hmm
Um, but best case scenario, he's looking at future him, where he's like, no, I just can't deal with this. I need to get out of here. In order to prevent that future, David Griffin needs to make the moves over the next 3 years to turn the Pelicans into a contender. I think that's the relevant thing. Everything else doesn't matter, especially with Zion, because Zion seems like a genuinely good kid.
hmm
And I don't think he would be petty and say, I didn't like the way you answered that question. I'm leaving. Like, it just doesn't seem like in his type. I think he's intelligent enough to understand that until we draft you, you're not part of the organization. And we have to play this by the book and look at everybody and blah, blah, blah.
Right. See, I don't think that they should have been like, "Oh my God, 100%, we're going to draft you." Are you kidding? Did you even ask me that? I don't think they should have done that. I just think that there was a happy medium between gushing over the kid and saying what he said.
I think he was just an awkward guy. Like
He
if you
is.
look at
He
yeah, and
absolutely is.
because I think what
100%.
he was trying to say was we're going to put the Pelicans are going to become a contender, and we're going to
Mhm.
do whatever it takes to do that. We're going to draft the best player available, and we're going to put in the hard work to make sure we do that. I think that's
Because
what he was trying to say.
because here's the thing, and I totally believe this is possible. I 100% believe that it is possible that they move Anthony Davis and get like the number 3 pick included
Yeah,
with that,
yeah.
and then get RJ Barrett to come and play with Zion with the Pelicans and build around those two guys as cornerstones, not to mention the other players that they get from the Knicks, the young players that they would get from. So if you trade the number 3 pick, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, and maybe another late pick for Anthony Davis, now you're building with the Pelicans, you're building around Zion, Knox,
Mm-hmm.
Robinson, RJ Barrett. It's a,
I agree with you, and that's what scares me.
mhm,
That's it. Like when I say the Knicks have a much better package than the Lakers, that's not me being like, "Ooh, we're gonna get AD." It
mhm,
scares me that we could give up really, really, really good young players, and then Anthony Davis comes over here and bangs his shoulder, like, and is on our salary. We can't fill out the rest of the roster. I don't
mhm.
love that,
Yeah,
you know.
I
I,
bet
I
you don't.
yeah, I really don't.
I bet
Like
you don't.
the most obvious scenario right now, like the most obvious one according to all of the rumors, would be Kyrie Irving, RJ Barrett, Kevin Knox, Kevin Durant, and Mitchell Robinson. I would rather do that than go after Anthony Davis. And that's not even my favorite scenario. Like I said, my favorite is, you know, Drew Holiday, RJ Barrett, or Alonzo Trier, Kevin Knox, Kevin Durant, or I'm sorry, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, and Mitchell Robinson. That lineup, I'm like, let's do that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Go out and get a veteran point guard who can hit a 3-pointer and play some defense and put him with Kevin Durant and another big time free agent. That would be amazing. So, you know, I think the Pelicans, they're still in their situation where David Griffin is in trouble because the whole organization has been in trouble for a while since Anthony Davis demanded a trade. Um, the Grizzlies, I don't know what they're doing. I don't feel bad for Ja Morant, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what's the hope for that. Like, they have a couple of good players there, but are they going to be better? Are they going to be the eighth or ninth best team in the league in the Western Conference? I highly doubt that. So it was just kind of a weird draft overall. I feel really bad for Phoenix because they're back to square one pretty much,
yeah.
unless they get really lucky.
Wait a minute. I missed where Phoenix is picking. Where did Phoenix drop to? I can't recall off the top of my head.
I'll tell you right now, they're sixth.
Oof, jeez. Ugh, ugh.
The funny thing is, so on one of the mock drafts, they're gonna get Darius Garland. But the funny thing about
That works though. I forgot. Yeah, that does work. And
see,
you
I
know
don't
what?
no, I don't love that because Darius Garland is not a playmaking point guard. They need a Ja. They
Well,
need a playmaker, not a shooter. They have shooting.
and I think Phoenix might have already got on the phone with Darius Garland because Sham Charania and Jason Battle just pointed this out in the chat, but Sham Charania just reported that Darius Garland just left the combine.
Hmm.
So he has a promise already. And he's like, I already got hurt.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you're already giving me, this promise, then I don't need to do anything else.
yeah,
So also for everybody in the chat, there's maybe suggesting some topics that are not NBA draft lottery related. We are still having At Me Bro on Thursday.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is just this is just a bonus thing
Quick
because the draft
reaction.
was such a big deal. So we will, talk about some other stuff on Thursday. So Sean, I saw your Ask Us Bro question. We're gonna do something different with Ask Us Bro when we do our show. We're gonna give you guys opportunity. I hope I don't even, Nelson. I talked to you last night, and I can't remember if I told you this or not. But I thought it'd be really cool if we make sure we get the link out early, and then on the screen, literally, we're prompting them to get their Ask Us Bro questions in to send them
Hmm.
into the Twitter account right then. That way, we don't have to scroll through the chat to try to find them. So
Okay, yeah,
we
that
want to
works.
get y'all engaged early, and then that way we can collect the Ask Us Bro questions and be able to hit them easier. So yeah,
No,
but
sounds good to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And hit the like button, by the way. We
yeah.
appreciate
Hit the
y'all
like
tuning in. We got
button.
a bunch of people watching right now. It's
We do,
fantastic.
we do. I
Although, if
appreciate
you
you
do have draft related questions, feel free to pop that in the chat if
for
we have the
sure.
time. I'd be happy to get to that. But yeah, as a Knicks fan, I'm actually pretty happy with it. I would have only been happier at number two. I'm not spoiled enough to be like, if I didn't get exactly what I wanted, I'm flipping the table. Number three is the second best thing to number two. Number one didn't necessarily do me any favors because I wasn't part of Camp Zion. I don't think he fits with the teams that we're projecting to put out there. And I don't want to be the ones to roll the dice to find out whether or not you missed on the best player in the draft because you just had to pick the guy who jumps really high. Like I don't love that scenario. So two, like you said, as a Bulls fan, we said on the show before, two is the best case scenario, three second best case scenario. I'm happy with that so far. I think there was a lot of losers in this, and LA is kind of the big winner. Because LA does have they had a really pathetic package before. Now they could get somebody in trade. And if they get somebody in trade, then the free agent thing might look a little better for them.
Mhm.
But that organization is still overall a mess. I think out of everybody, I mean, honestly, out of everybody, I think the Knicks are one of the luckiest people on the night.
Yeah, I I definitely feel like the Bulls are losers in this for sure. Not losers overall in terms of their Phoenix is in a worse position, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, maybe not, maybe not. I mean, they put it like this: they both teams have um a couple pieces, at least a couple pieces,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Both teams have at least a couple pieces. I think we might have one to two more pieces than them. I also think we're in a better situation from a coaching standpoint than they are. I wouldn't have said that 4 months ago, but from
So you
where
like your guy for Monty Williams?
only reason I say that is because Monty hasn't coached. Like he hasn't had that time with this team to bond. And Boylan had time to bond with his team last year,
Hmm.
and they showed improvement under him. Now, I totally think Monty is going to be a solid coach. Maybe, but sometimes we see solid coaches not find their fit with that initial opportunity, big opportunity, and it might have to be the third or fourth stop. We've seen that happen with a lot of different coaches. So I don't know if that's what that's going to be or not, but it wouldn't shock me if he's hits the ground like Brad Stevens. It wouldn't,
Yeah.
it
So
wouldn't shock.
I think we don't necessarily know yet because I do think that there's going to be 1 to 3 players outside of the top three who
Mhm,
are way better than people think, right? Like people talk about Darius Garland. He's such a non-playmaker at this point in his development, and he's not a big guy, so I don't know about that. But if he goes in the top five, he is the best shooter in the top five,
mhm.
and he is a highly skilled young player,
Yeah,
right?
he can play, man. He can get buckets. He can get
Highly.
buckets.
If he turned out to be the best or second best point guard in the draft, I wouldn't be or guard overall in the draft, I wouldn't be surprised. So somebody who winds up settling for Darius Garland
Mhm,
might be in a really really great situation. With Phoenix, I think specifically Ja Morant fits better in Phoenix. I think the athleticism, the playmaking, the ability to drive to the basket and finish, the leadership, the ability to take on the offensive workload. I think that's more important for Phoenix with the personnel that they have rather than a guy who can hit shots. Uh, so that's just a fit thing. But if they might wind up with Darius Garland and be totally thrilled with Darius Garland. I think you guys would probably be pretty thrilled if you wound up with Darius Garland.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sitting at 7, yeah. I mean, but the I wouldn't be opposed to the Bulls trading up. I wouldn't be opposed
For who?
to get Darius Garland. I mean, or obviously
Oh
Ja.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Obviously Ja.
I think Ja's off the table. I think
Yeah.
whoever somebody in the top three is going to pick Ja and go home happy with it.
Yeah, I think you got to get to 2 to get Ja.
Uh,
If you
I think while I don't disagree with you, my thing is when people get in the combine and have months to work on their game after the college situation, sometimes they open your eyes. And I do think that there's a few guys in the draft that are talented enough physically and skill wise that if they show you another tool, you're like, oh, nope, that changes the game.
Mhm,
So if RJ Barrett is just like knocking down threes or in all these workouts, he's showing that that right hand is developing faster than you thought. Up, nope, that's our guy now. RJ Barrett could just go two ways. That changes it. And if he goes two ways and hits his free throws, he's arguably the best prospect in the draft.
He
You
was
know,
at first. He was
right?
considered that. He was considered that.
Exactly. So yeah, and there's a few guys like that where if they show you this or they show you that, you might change your opinion. So usually these draft situations aren't written in stone the way people are saying. I think Zion's the only thing that's really written in stone, which
Yeah.
is unfortunate because it's not about basketball. It really is about spectacle and putting butts in the seats.
And it's a
And
shame because he doesn't deserve the hate he's gonna get.
yeah,
Because he's gonna get some hate because people are just tired of the over coverage. He's gonna get some hate for that. He's gonna get a hate. For everything that you just said is true, and people are gonna give him some hate for that. And it's not his fault. All he is big, strong, and athletic, and he dunks on people.
hmm
That
hmm
what else is he supposed to do with the gifts that he has? So it's unfortunate, but
Well,
that's gonna happen.
though I do want to give him credit for and RJ as well. Both of them have been all class
Yes,
this
he's
entire time.
he's a likable dude, man. He's just a really
Absolutely. He's
likable dude.
both great seem like when the way RJ Barrett comforted his teammate, after the game and stuff like that, like they just seem like really good kids.
Yeah, yeah.
So and
Because
that's
see, that was
important.
an in the moment thing. So you
Right.
can't fake it because
And
that
you see
was
it in his face. It was totally
yeah,
real.
yeah.
And that's the thing, like when we talk about Kyrie Irving's mopey. Like I
He
don't
is, just is.
put that
That's just
mopey
how he does, dude. That's just how
loner
he
in the
rolls.
locker room, like, and it's not that you can't win like that, but it's a handicap.
Yeah, you like, dude, come on, bro.
So with Zion having such a great attitude and also such a great motor, he plays really hard. He's super unselfish. That's really fantastic. So those are qualities. I know they're more intangible qualities, but they do matter. I really do think they matter. Because it is a team chemistry thing. It allows you to make adjustments to him and the people and the pieces around him to succeed. But you're right. Like from a skill standpoint, he's so unique that if he falls short of the totally unrealistic expectations that they have for him, like again, the thing that's really crazy to me is that you would just guaranteed, no questions asked, take him over RJ Barrett and John Morant. I don't think that's accurate from a basketball standpoint. That seems
Yeah.
crazy. So now if anybody after this draft is better than Zion Williamson, he's gonna have to deal with it. And like you said, he absolutely doesn't deserve that because he's not being evaluated only on his talent from a basketball standpoint. He's being evaluated in terms of ticket sales.
And
And people are spinning that.
it would be different if he like you said, if he had a different personality type.
Yeah.
If he was kind of look, I told y'all,
Right, right.
it would be different because you set yourself up for that massive scrutiny, when you're that way, but he's not that way. And we'll see what happens though. We'll definitely see what happens. I want to get to a couple of questions that I
Let's
saw.
do it.
We got one from 1989. He says, after the presumed big three in the draft, who currently are the next three or biggest sleepers in the draft, I still really like Cam Reddish. You were just talking about guys who can get into the combine and show another skill, and
Yeah.
it blows people's mind. Cam Reddish is the number one guy who has that capability. If Cam Reddish shows that he can get his own offense and get a shot off the dribble, it changes the game. It really does for him. Because you were saying that Darius Garland's the best shooter. I think Cam's the best shooter in the top
No,
five.
I'm just out of point guards.
Okay,
I,
okay,
I-
okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
No. You said top five. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think Cam Reddish is going top five.
Well,
So that's what that was
here's
based
what
on.
I'm saying. Like if he does what you're saying, right, shows another skill.
hmm
If he can get his shot off the dribble with his size and his athleticism and the way he can shoot the ball, he legit. Honestly, I would consider taking him over RJ Barrett if he does. Not for you guys, because you guys wouldn't need him. Like, the Knicks
Right.
wouldn't need him. But just overall, dude, if he can get his shot off the dribble, like perfect example, another Dookie, right? The way Rodney Hood's off the dribble game has progressed,
Mm-hmm.
and where he and developed. If Cam Reddish can get a shot off the dribble like Rodney Hood and still shoot the ball at the way he shoots it, he's top five for. He's definitely top five. He's
Yeah, I don't
definitely
I
top.
don't agree with Cam necessarily. I do think a guy like DeAndre Hunter, 6'7", really, really great
You know who
3-point
he
shooter.
reminds me of?
Who's that?
He reminds me a bit of a slightly more skilled, offensively skilled Thad Young,
Who's this?
Hunter, DeAndre
Hunter?
Hunter. Yes.
Yeah, and he's one of those people where you can look at him a couple of years down the line and be like, how we missed that?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You know why though? Because he played for a one of those college teams that I like to refer to as an ensemble cast.
Yeah,
And when you have a college program that functions that way, you can have a great player in the midst of that you didn't realize that dude was that freaking good.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And see that's one of the things I'm saying about Cam Reddish, because with Zion and RJ and him and Trey Jones and all these different people that they have, I'm wondering, is Cam does Cam Reddish have this thing that they have that we haven't seen yet from as a complete player, that is going to have it like, wow, we thought RJ and Zion was the best players, but this guy might actually be
See,
that dude.
I'm real afraid that Cam Reddish could be Dia Otto Porter.
Uh he's a better shooter already. He's a better shooter now than Otto Porter was at this stage. I
But
think
he
Otto
didn't shoot
Porter,
great though. Like he didn't shoot well during the season.
but see, you know what I think
He hit a
though?
lot of clutch shots,
You
which
know
was
what I
which is a good
think though?
sign.
You know what I think though? I think that how you get the ball often affects the way your comfort level when shooting, right? And I don't think he was getting the ball in the way that is best for him. I understand it because you got RJ Barrett and you got Zion Williamson out there and you got Trey
And
Jones. I
and
get
he's
it.
also the only 3-point threat on the floor
So
when they're playing because
when you're
Trey
chasing
Jones is
shooters,
such a bad
you
shooter.
got to
Yeah.
go to Cam. He's the one,
Right,
right?
right, right. I think
So
there's a bad situation to be in. Well, and again, I'm not saying that's what he's going to be. I'm just saying that's the fear of
yeah,
him.
oh, for sure, for sure. You know what my fear is for him even more than that? Um, like Calbert Cheney,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because Calbert Cheney was a machine, a scoring machine in Indiana. I'm talking about buckets, buckets, buckets. But there was always this question about his motor, right? And when he got to the NBA, it proved that that was an issue. And Cam Reddish has one of those demeanors that looks like this is the fastest speed I go.
Right, right.
This is the fastest speed I go, bro. So that's the part that scares me. That's the
Mhm.
only part that scares me.
That's part of what scares me too. I mean, the
Yeah.
numbers aren't great for Cam Reddish. I agree that he's not in the best situation,
Hmm.
but the thing about RJ and Zion is both of those guys had a lot of step up moments throughout the season.
Yeah.
A lot of moments where Duke was really pressured. And again, we can't say enough with Jones being just such a bad shooter. Like I think me and you shoot better than that kid.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know. I missed a lot of threes this morning, man. I went to the gym. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty at all.
but
My,
that's a lot of pressure on all of those guys to be three freshmen to carry it the way they did. But Zion and RJ showed me a lot outside of just their scouting report. They
mhm.
showed me a lot from the neck up, whereas Cam, like you said, he hasn't shown us anything, and that's a lot of faith to put on it. Now, I don't cancel out any teenager from being great
Mhm.
because I wasn't nowhere near what I am now from a artistic standpoint as a teenager, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I've done a lot of development since then,
Yeah.
so I give those guys the space and time to do the same. I just don't know if I would put him above the other guys who've been so much better throughout the year, like your Kobe Whites and stuff like that. Like
Well,
Kobe White, athletic, 6'5", ridiculous haircut, but
oh my God. You know what? Okay. I don't have any hair, right? I don't have any hair. So I, and you know what? As much basketball as I have consumed over my life, And as much as I know better, there is something about his hairstyle that bothers me in terms of he don't look quick. He doesn't look quick. He literally looks like he's slower. And I know that that's not the case. I know it's not, but it looks like he is. And I don't know. I don't know. And he's obsessed with jelly layups. Obsessed with them, bro. He'll turn anything into a scoop layup. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. But I will say this. Cam has shown some he has shown some flashes of some next level stuff,
Yeah.
right? Some moves I've seen him make, attacking closeouts, some stuff I've seen him do on base, especially baseline. Dude, he does some stuff baseline that is really impressive, right? If you're spotting him up in corner as a corner shooter, the way he attacks closeouts from baseline, I really dig.
Mhm.
And the fact that, like you said, he's made some big shots, right?
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Something about him is we are the Bulls already have a small forward, right?
Yeah.
And he makes $25 million a year.
Mhm.
So hey, that's what that is. But if I know I'm not getting a killer, right? So say here's the thing, and this is like a football thing, right? If I know I need a quarterback, right? But I'm looking at the draft and the quarterbacks that I think could actually make an impact are gone.
Right.
Do I just take the best quarterback left, even though all my scouts have looked at him and nobody thinks he's the guy who is
Yeah.
a franchise quarterback? Do I just take him because I need one?
Or
My
just get
answer
the
to that,
best defensive end available
my
because
my
yeah.
my answer to that is no, right? I say no. If that's the case, if the position of need you don't think is a killer, then you get the best player that's there.
Mhm.
Because worst case scenario with that is you have created trade chips. You bring in if Cam Reddish is there at 7, that's who I'm taking if I'm the Bulls. Because my worst case scenario is now he strengthens my second unit in a way that is like, oh wow. And I got him locked up longer than I have Otto Porter locked up. So perhaps Otto Porter contracts once it comes to an end, I get an opportunity to choose Cameron Reddish over him. Some
Mhm.
people are like, well, what about Chandler Hutchison? Chandler Hutchison has to prove to me at this point it's between Chandler Hutchison and Cam Reddish. Which one of you guys are going to be competing for playing time coming off the bench behind Otto Porter. I like that better than drafting a point guard who you're going to hand the keys to and say, we don't think you're good enough anyway, but we needed a point guard, so we drafted you. Now go and do it. That sets the franchise back even more to me,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, I mean, my dream scenario was to get Ja Morant to to sign Derrick Rose as a backup and to re-sign Ryan Arcidiacono.
Mhm.
I thought that Derrick Rose as a mentor for a young point guard would have been nice. I don't think Derrick wants to start long term. I really don't think he does. I think he knows that if I'm going to play 65, 70 games a season, I need to be playing 28 minutes a night.
Mhm.
I think he knows that, right? And I like Archie Diacono because he's solid and um if he's injury insurance because Derek's Derek. I love him, but he's Derek. And um Ja is a young player.
Mhm.
So that was my dream scenario. Didn't freaking happen. So it just didn't happen. So we had another ask us bro question. I think it was 1989 as well. It was higher up here. We definitely gonna get this in the order. Um Moving forward for this show. Also, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get that reminder out there for the show much earlier than I have been. So it'll be out there so for other people because we appreciate all of y'all. We really do. Everybody whose name we see every week, and we don't take that for granted at all. But we want to get y'all some company. I'll get y'all some company. But let's see. I know I had another one in here.
Yeah, there was
Oh, I
another
see it.
one.
I see it.
Okay.
Outside of Anthony Davis, who do you see as a player who could move before or during the draft? Um, I definitely think Chris Dunn. Obviously, he's not on the same level as Anthony Davis or whatever, but I think Chris Dunn's a player you got to watch that could potentially move. Obviously, Lonzo. We talked about him. Um, I think the Celtics package is everybody who wants Anthony Davis. Look at all the young players.
I
Them,
think Drew Holiday.
yeah.
Drew Holiday has a lot of value. He's tied to New Orleans, and if New Orleans is going young,
Mhm.
they could trade him in a package with, like, the Lakers could really use Drew Holiday.
In a major way.
Right. So the Lakers, I don't think they want to play whoever they get at number 4, unless, you know, something crazy like RJ drops. They might roll the dice on that. But even RJ doesn't fit with LeBron James necessarily.
No, not at all. Well, you
And
know what? You know what? I can see how he might because LeBron needs another guy on the floor that can get his own offense.
yeah, he's
Right.
going to get that in free agency. That's what he's looking for, a guy
Right.
who's been in the league for 6
Right.
years at least.
Right.
And the thing about, like, if LeBron was 5 years younger, I would agree with you, which is why I like RJ on the Knicks. Like, I'm totally fine with us drafting RJ and keeping him to play with, KD and Kyrie or whoever else we get, because you get the kind of stacking thing, right?
Mhm.
Whereas KD gets 36, well, now it's Kyrie or Kawhi's team, and then as they get older, then RJ would be coming into his own, and you have young people that you drafted in that time that you developed and traded for. Um, but LeBron's timeline is so short.
Mhm.
I just don't see how the Lakers could get any use out of anybody in this draft on the court, because they're
That's
trying to
unfortunate.
win
That's
a
unfortunate.
championship. Well,
That's
it's not unfortunate because I think the other teams can get a lot of value out of it. Like the Pelicans could get a lot of value out of the 4th pick, and somebody else from the Lakers. Like, that's for Drew to unload Drew Holiday's salary. That's a good look for them.
but see, I need more than Drew Holiday for the number 4 pick.
I don't know. If I'm the Lakers, I don't know if I need more than. I don't
I
know.
need more than that. I
I
mean,
don't know.
see,
I don't
because
know
you
about that.
can't trade based off of what you need. You have to trade based off of what the actual value is. And I think the value for the number 4 pick is higher than Drew Holiday. And that's no disrespect to Drew Holiday. Drew
I
Holiday is a
think it
heck of a
is.
player.
I
He's
think
a
it
heck of
is a
a player.
disrespect
He's
for
a
Drew
heck of a
Holiday.
player. But I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look back and see in the history when teams have traded the number 4 pick for an existing player. Who was the guy? I'd have to look that up. I have no idea. That's the only way I could really tell. But I think traditionally, if you trade the number 4 pick, you get a guy who is a multi-time all-star.
Hmm.
And Drew had a one all-star appearance, and it was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, but Drew's been balling. I think
And it
specifically,
hurt.
I think he fits with LeBron James so well because of his defense and his shooting and his intelligence, that that would make the Lakers a lot better,
Mm-hmm.
and they still have the money to sign another great player, and they can still get value out of. I mean, I think Brandon Ingram's a good player. Like, if the blood clot thing is fine, then he's fine. Kuzma's okay. I think he's slightly overrated because he came from so low in the draft, and he
I
can
like
get hot.
I like Kuzma. I don't think he's a all-star or anything
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
he's
I,
yeah, it's just he's
yeah,
overrated. He's not a bad player. He's good.
I
He's
don't think
solid.
I don't think he's
I
overrated.
think
I
people
don't think
like him too much. People like him too much because he shoots. He's good at shooting. Yeah.
I don't what
Like,
here's the thing. I don't think that
he's
he
not great
is
at shooting. Okay.
I don't think he is I don't think people think he's a great player. I think he's just a star. And I think no, that's the wrong word. I don't think people think he's a great player. I think he's a celebrity. And I think that that's what it is. I don't think that the way people evaluate him as a basketball player is that high. He, he plays in LA. He has the look
Well,
and
okay, let me
you
explain to you
know,
why. So for instance, people think, oh man, Brandon Uzma, Lonzo Ball, and Kyle Kuzma, and the 4th pick is better than Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and the third pick. And to me, that sounds like categorical
Say that again.
insanity.
With
They
the Knicks pick again. What's the Knicks trade again?
Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and the third pick.
That's
And that sounds like
a way
insanity.
better. That's a way better
And nobody's
package
saying that. That's why I say he's overrated.
But see, I
Because
think that's yeah. I don't know.
that's what I'm saying. Because people think he's a good shooter. He shoots 30%.
Is that it?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Overrated. Like people think he's better than he is.
I thought it was more like 34, 35. I don't know.
It's 30.
Oh wow. Yeah, I thought it was,
30.
yeah, and I think it dipped a lot late. I think it did, especially after I would love to see what those shooting numbers were before LeBron got hurt. Because I think
they weren't super great. He's streaky.
Yeah, well, definitely.
And I'm not saying he's a terrible player.
He's an effort player too.
I mean, on offense. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think he's a guy who could definitely develop into a piece on your championship squad. He's that classic guy, right? You're Robert Horry or something like that. He can develop into that guy. But to compare him to a guy like Mitchell Robinson, who looks like a bona fide defensive superstar,
there's no question. There's no question.
It's night and day. And the fact that the third pick is obviously higher than the fourth pick is night and day. Like if I'm looking at if I'm the Pelicans and you give me
even if it wasn't, even if you was trading for the exact same pick, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox is better than Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Lonzo Ball.
Then everything on the Lakers, including their picks, not named LeBron James.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and people don't think that way, and I don't understand why. Which is why I'm actually afraid of the Anthony Davis thing, because I think with the third pick, we moved ourselves into a situation where we possibly have the best package. Particularly, the only thing about it is, I do think there might be a fire sale in Boston. They may abandon ship on a couple of the young guys, and I do think those guys still have value. So Boston might have a better package, even though their picks aren't what they turned out to be. But yeah, I think Drew Holiday on the Lakers would fix a lot of their problems.
The only reason I think Boston might have a better package is because Jason Tatum has proven to be to quote one of my friends, he has no confidence in the draft at all, which is ridiculous. So I just stopped listening to him when he started saying this. But he says, I knows. So his definition of that is a player who's in the NBA who has already performed. So if you look at it from that standpoint, Jason Tatum's body of work is more confirmed than everybody else who is in the discussion of being a major piece for Anthony Davis. He has the most confirmed work, and he is young still. So that to me, that's why Boston's deal is still probably a little bit better. But yeah, but here's the only, if I'm the Knicks, this is the only way in the world that I trade for Anthony Davis is if Kevin Durant said that's the only way he'll come. That's the only that's the only reason. If Kevin Durant is cool with coming with himself and another max free agent, and we get to keep all of our young assets, I'm not touching Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Why? Why would I? Why? I mean, why would I do that? Like, you're going to. Here's the thing, and you alluded to this, but you didn't say it exactly like this a little earlier. You got Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, and the number 3 pick, right? Mitchell Robinson and Kevin Knox are all very, very young players who have nowhere near scraped what they could be. We don't know if they're going to pan out, but we know that both of those guys are extremely talented and have relatively high ceilings. The same thing can be said and should be said about RJ Barrett, right? So now we got 3 players with a chance to pop and to turn into superstars. But we're giving all 3 of them away for one guy who already is a superstar, but who also had a lot of injuries.
That's the key for me.
So you're going to give up 3 potential stars, and you already got, assuming all of this is lined up, you already got Kevin Durant, which automatically gives you a key to sign another max free agent. You already have that.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why are you a millionaire at the casino?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't see any reason why Orlando Teal. What's going on, sir? I ain't seen that name in a minute. I don't. To me, that makes no sense to me. Why you would do that? And if like I said, unless Kevin Durant said, "I'm not coming if you don't get the brow," then I don't get it.
The thing I like about Anthony Davis is I think he pairs really well with Kyrie Irving. And I like the Kyrie Irving acquisition more if we get Anthony Davis.
But okay, let me ask this: I might be wrong about this, but can they afford to acquire Anthony Davis, sign Kevin Durant, and sign Kyrie?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
All of the analysts are saying that that is a possible thing. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna, go with that.
If that's
Uh,
if that's a possibility, then now you have your cake and eat it too, so to speak.
yeah.
If you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Anthony Davis, and you don't go to the NBA Finals, everyone
Yeah,
should be
something.
slapped.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
KD is absolutely going to the Knicks, guys. I mean, it's not even. Let me. I put it like this. I'll tell you guys like this. I don't have many sources, so I will readily admit that I don't have many sources in the NBA. I have a lot of them in boxing and MMA. I don't have a lot of sources in the NBA, but the one source that I do have in the NBA has never, ever, ever given me any information about the NBA that wasn't correct. Never. He told me 5 months before it happened last year that LeBron was going to the Lakers. He told me 3 months before it happened that Kyrie wanted out, before he made it public that Kyrie wanted out. And he told me 2 weeks ago it was over, that the situations have already been put in place from a business standpoint. Has nothing to do with basketball, and I'm sure it has something to do with basketball to a degree, but this is not about basketball, so to speak. This is about, and Kevin Durant and his people have already made the business decision to move to New York.
Yeah, and let's just like highlight that for a second, because I have not been a guy beating the drum to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I've been very critical of Kyrie. I've thought he was overrated for a long time. So when I say Kyrie might be coming here, I'm saying that because I'm looking at the evidence. Even with Kevin Durant coming here, I think same thing with LeBron James to a degree, even though I do think Kevin Durant will be a better piece as an older person because of his shooting and his size.
Yep. He's
Then
gonna age really well.
yeah, I think he ages a little better than LeBron, so I'm not as panicked about it. The way I am with the Lakers, where I feel like they handled the acquisition wrong. But in terms of him coming to New York, now I'm hearing the Knicks. So if you're watching the show after the fact, Jason Battle says in the chat, if anything, he's going to the Nets. That makes the most sense, and no one's saying that's happening. That's what makes it seem more likely that he's going to the Knicks. When this stuff happens from a business perspective, there are all kinds of trace elements and breadcrumbs left everywhere that people who have nothing to do with basketball will be
Yes.
able to tell you. And
Yes.
those things are real. Now, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But those things are real. And I think when we discuss these topics, there's a certain responsibility to evidence that you have to have. And when the sports reporters are going on saying that he's 95%, it's easy for me to throw that out the window. But
Yes.
when he's setting up all kinds of
Yes.
businesses, and
Yes.
when you can't set up certain businesses and industries overnight, you have to do certain things beforehand.
Yes.
And those things are happening.
Yes.
So, and even to the extent of people throw some of this stuff out, but who the Knicks hired and the moves that they made, they got rid of Porzingis without a second thought because their thinking is we don't need Porzingis with Kevin Durant. They're not going to play well together.
They're not going to play well together.
That we're fine because Kevin Durant don't want to play with Porzingis. That's not the piece he
I'm
wants.
telling you, it's done already. It's already done. And I'm not telling you, I'm not prognosticating. I'm telling you, it's already done. He's going to New York. Unless something crazy happens that has changed or uprooted some sort of plan, it's happening. I said the same thing with LeBron. I wasn't as sure about the Kyrie thing, so I didn't go as hard with it because for people like when you're in this industry, right? The first few times that a source gives you some information, you're a little nervous, right? And you don't want to go with it and start saying it out loud. You don't want to do that. I remember someone told me a long time ago, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. It wasn't that long ago. It was like maybe a year and a half ago. The heavyweight boxer Luis Ortiz, the one that had the great fight with Deontay Wilder, got knocked out late. He told me, he said, Luis Ortiz broke his hand, and he's going to pull out of that fight. And he was like, "I'm telling you, it happened. You can go to print with it." And I said, It's the first time he'd ever told me something. So and I waited. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna take that one. I'm gonna take that one on the chin. If he's right, I just missed the scoop there. Sure enough, 72 hours later, 3 days later, it comes out exactly what he said. So I said, okay, no, I'm done. I said that was because it was so specific. I said, I won't doubt it again. This basketball source, the first time it came through, I said, you know what? Nah, I don't know. Nah, that sound like some conversation. Is what that sounds like. That's what that sounded like to me. And so I didn't say anything about the Kyrie thing. Exactly what he said rolled out. The next time it was the LeBron thing, and I jumped on it. I said, I'm with you. This is the third one. Kevin Durant's going to New York.
Somebody asked if should Kyrie go to Brooklyn? Me and Brian are on the same page with this.
That's stupid.
I don't understand why you would want Kyrie Irving if you have D'Angelo Russell. You could argue that the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics played to a near standstill this season. And do the Boston Celtics have more talent than the Brooklyn Nets outside of their point guards? Yes, they do. Brooklyn don't even have big men. They got one tall, skinny guy, and then they put Jared Dudley on the floor.
He's a big man horizontally.
You need to stop beating up Jared Dudley and show this man some respect.
Me and him in the same, both of us shop at DXL.
And the thing is, if you watch, I was hard on D'Angelo Russell for what he did in LA, and I do think that he basically had to be moved.
I was.
Yeah, I think the way they handled it lowered his value as he was moved. That's why I'm critical, is that they handled the bad situation poorly. And I do think their culture made that bad situation more likely to happen. But they had to move him, was hard on him. He was on the Nets. Because they're Brooklyn and I'm from Brooklyn, I kept my eye on it. If you watch Brooklyn this year, this kid has matured tremendously as a person and as a player, and it looks like he's getting better with every dribble. If you mix in the fact that Kyrie is shorter, he's an inferior passer. I'm telling you that hands down, he's an inferior passer.
It's not even close.
Even on a good day, he's an inferior passer.
It's not even close.
Yeah, I think he's less of a system guy. I think he's less adaptable than D'Angelo Russell. He's older. His knees are way older.
And he's not. I'm about to shock you. Cell phone incident and all. He's not the same. He's not the same level of a leader.
No, not at all. He's way better leader.
Better leader.
Oh, by far, because D'Angelo Russell.
But people wouldn't think you would say something like that about a kid who did what D'Angelo Russell did. But the key word there is kid.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a baby when he did that. I admit I was far too hard on him for something that he did when he was legit 19.
Yeah.
If I got held to an eternal standard by the stuff I did when I was 19, I wouldn't be allowed to speak. So everybody should have cut him more slack.
Yeah.
You know,
Brooklyn needs to sign DeMarcus Cousins. That's who they need
um,
to sign. They go after DeMarcus Cousins.
that's interesting.
Eastern Conference got to wake up and pay attention.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because they can give him a good amount of money. And I think in that system, he with what's his name? Afro Jared Allen.
Yeah.
There, he has some help defense backup,
Mm-hmm.
and they have the shooting around him that you still have to space out. And now that he's played in that system with Golden State, I think they can pay him what he deserves and get the most out of him,
Mm-hmm.
where he gets space and he's in a good culture. And he'd be making, I mean, the endorsements, he still gets the benefit of being in New York without having to be on the Knicks. I think that's the only acquisition they need to consistently improve and be in the second round every single year. So that's the acquisition for the Brooklyn Nets that I would be looking for.
Yeah, I mean that is really interesting, and you know why that seems to fit pretty well too, is because Boogie now has this endearing kind of underdog quality to him now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that, but he has he kind of has this thing going where it's like you're rooting for him. At least I am, because I mean, you like, dang man, my man, you've been through a lot, bro. You've been through a lot, and Brooklyn has this little brother kind of a concept going because they're not the Knicks. Many people kind of undersold them this year, and they I think they pretty much proved to be better than a lot of people outside of people who were watching them every day thought. So it seems like it fits there pretty good, man. I mean, I really that is it's interesting to me. It definitely is interesting to him going there. I actually had never thought about that. But I do think but the last thing they need to be talking about getting is a point guard.
Yeah,
That I
they're
don't care
fine.
what kind of superstar he is or you think he is. That's the last thing I think that they need to
Yeah,
be,
and the biggest knock
looking
on
at.
D'Angelo Russell on the court was his defense, and
Yeah,
he played pretty good defense in the playoffs.
yeah,
I mean, he wasn't, Kawhi Leonard, but he rotated, he gave effort. That's all you want out of a guy that's that good in the pick and roll, that good of a shooter. He just needs to improve. I would just invest in D'Angelo Russell. 3 years down the line, I don't I don't know if Kyrie Irving's a better player than D'Angelo Russell, and I definitely wouldn't pay him the money that he's asking for in comparison right now. I think that'd be a big mistake.
yeah. And the last thing you need to do when you are as close to winning as Brooklyn is to make a mistake like that.
I agree.
Now, here's one thing, and we want to move towards the wrap up, as long as that's okay with you, books. Um, I gotta ask y'all this question. Has anybody asked whether or not Dolomite is Jared Allen's dad?
Now, come on, man.
I,
Come.
I,
No, they don't. Come on.
I just,
No. Okay, see, now you being racist, and I'm
I know,
expose you. You know who
I
he looks like? I want you to pull up a picture.
who
He looks like Rasheed Wallace.
he does look a little like Rasheed Wallace, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He don't
Maybe
look nothing like Dolomite.
it's Dolomite. You know, Dolomite got darker over the years. And he was a little lighter
It's
at
not
first.
just the darker, man. His features ain't the same.
His features are not the same, but but I don't know.
He
It's a
got the
Dolomite.
eye fold.
He got a
Can you pull up a picture of Rasheed Wallace, please?
he got a Dolomite thing going though. I
No,
think
he
too.
does not.
You don't
Stop
you don't
it.
see no Dolomite. You don't
No,
no Dolomite
none.
is there.
Dolomite look like Apollo Creed got kicked in the face by Michael Jai White.
Oh oh oh! You got kicked in the face by Spawn, not
Yeah,
Spawn.
that's Black Dynamite to you, my friend. Black
Oh,
Dynamite is genius. That movie's hilarious.
have I seen Black Dynamite?
Oh, you need to see Black Dynamite. That
Have I
movie is
seen?
funny.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I did see that. I did see it.
Yeah,
It was pretty fun. I did see that.
yeah.
It was pretty fun. But yeah, you know what? You're
I
right.
threw that before I came in the room.
He does look like he does look a bit like Rashid.
Yeah, he looks like a sheep.
Why
I
didn't
mean, that's what
you?
I do for a living.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the. I'm generally good at that. I really am like good at picking out stuff like people looking like people. I don't
Yeah.
know why. It's like a weird skill, but not that particular time. It didn't turn out exactly how I thought. Because he actually does look more like Rashid.
Yep.
Let me see if I can get Rashid in here. We got you. See, you get all kinds of things on At Me, bro. You get face comparisons. You never know what might happen here. You
But yeah, but to
never
wrap up the
know.
show, Chicago's miserable. Knicks fans have no reason to be upset unless getting the second best thing you wanted is a reason to be upset. The Suns should be jumping off a bridge right now. Zion Williamson should be on that same. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got him.
Got it. Got it. There it is. I need you to see it. And so
And
everybody would understand where we at.
yeah, I think it's honestly kind of messed up to the fan bases of those other quote unquote tanking teams that the Knicks, who got the highest pick they've gotten in 40 years or 35 years or whatever it is, um, that they're getting the attention when those other teams like literally just crapped out entirely and have no chance of drafting the top 4 players in the league.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's messed up. Because honestly, I know as a Chicago fan, last night was a gut punch, and the same thing for the Suns fans, and the same thing for Zion Williamson. Frankly, that sucks. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll turn out okay, but it sucks.
Yeah, I think for Zion it'll be okay because he's Zion, and I think he can be whoever he's going to be anywhere he ever went. I think he'll be an even bigger star in New Orleans than Anthony Davis, and I know that's saying something because I know some people in New Orleans, and they love that guy on a level beyond
Me
you and
too.
he.
Shout out to
Oh,
Henson.
oh my God, and my guy, Red Stick Gamer.
Oh,
He
Rest. Yeah, yeah, yep.
yeah, he love
Shout out
that
to
guy.
Red Stick. Same for
They
him.
love that guy. So, um, but I think Zion will be the biggest star that they've had because of the commercial appeal and his personality.
Mhm.
He's just everything but prickly. So I think it'll work out. So, but I do appreciate
Yeah,
everybody
thanks for
watching today.
everybody for tuning in. That
Sure.
tremendous turnout, like
Yeah,
just
we
on a
had six.
spontaneous show. That's what's up.
Yeah, it was real dope, real dope. I didn't get a chance. The wife even made a thumbnail. I didn't even get a chance to throw it up here yet. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And we'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace.